Good morning. I'm Ron Moore, and this is your Monday morning cup of motivation. Hope you had a great weekend. Hey, this is the season of miracles, isn't it? And I want to talk to you this week about miracles. Now, first thing you got to know is that there's no such thing as an age of miracles, but rather the God of miracles who never changes. And such was the case as you look way back with Zach and Liz. What a great couple. There in Luke 1, it says that they were doing what they were supposed to do. They were serving God and walked humbly before Him. But it goes on to say, now get this, it says, and yet she was childless. And yet they didn't have the child that they were believing God for, dreaming of. Now, you got to know in that day that if you didn't have a baby by a certain age, all the other ladies kind of looked at you as you're a little second class. Maybe you're just not taking care of your husband like you should or something. I mean, it wasn't a positive vibe that you got from other people, okay? But they just kept on believing. They kept doing what they were supposed to do. And one day, sure enough, as Zach was just doing his priestly duties, the angel of God appeared to him and said, "It's going to happen, Zach. It's going to happen. Your wife's going to conceive a baby boy, and you need to name him John." And of course, you got to understand, after all this time, I mean, have you ever been there? You pray for something, but you think, oh boy, I don't know. It's been so long. It's been so long. Man, I've been there. and so Zach responds with, how do I know I can believe what you're telling me? I mean, after all, I'm advanced in years. Well, you know, that's just the way we are. God tells us something, we start giving him excuses. You know, Moses did that way back when, but God, I talk like this. I stutter. I can't talk. God says, I'm going to take care of it, Moses. I've called you to do this. Well, Zach said, how do I know? You know, I'm too old to be having babies. He said, well, okay, Zach, I tell you what, you're not going to say a thing until that baby's born. And so that's how you're going to know that it's going to happen. Well, I just wonder how many of us are right there with them. You know, you serve God, you walk with God. Man, you sit daily listening to what His Word has to say. You walk listening to what the Spirit has to say. And yet, it's like I said, and yet they didn't have a child. And yet, you don't have the funds you need. And yet, you don't have the husband or the wife that you're believing for. You walk with God, and yet you've not seen your family come to Jesus yet. Man, whatever it is, listen, I want you to know that miracle may come at a ridiculous time. You know, here's Zach and Liz. They were over the hill as far as having babies. We don't know exactly how old they were, but it just wasn't the season to be having babies. And yet, at a ridiculous time. Or as the late, great Ralph Wilkerson, love that man, said what he used to say, God took a notion. God took a notion. Maybe you walk with that, and yet your healing hasn't been manifested. Whatever it is that you've been believing God for that miracle, listen, don't stop believing, because it just might happen at a ridiculous time. After all the years that you've believed, God may take a notion and say, it's time, it's time. Hey, listen, you have a great Monday, and I'll be back to you on Wednesday talking about an awkward time miracle. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.